Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our breakout session on Wisconsin Idea in Action. In our session today, we will focus specifically on how to put the Wisconsin Idea into action by partnering with community members to co-create a leadership program that are culturally relevant, responsive, and effective. Firstly, I'd like to make a brief self-introduction. My name is Jinke, and I am a graduate student in School of Education, UW-Madison. I will be presenting with my colleagues, Anshika Bhasin, who is a PhD candidate in School of Education, UW-Madison, and Carlos, who is the Associate Language Access Coordinator for Division of Extension, UW-Madison. Anshika and I both worked as a culturally relevant evaluation interns for Elevando Wisconsin last summer. Firstly, I would like to introduce Wisconsin Elevando team. The team consists of 4 talented and dedicated individuals who are committed to advancing the Wisconsin idea through community-based leadership development initiatives. We have Victoria, Jessica, Dionisse, and Carlos with us. Then I'll introduce, just a sec, sorry. Then I will introduce Wisconsin, Elevando Wisconsin. So Elevando Wisconsin is a bilingual community leadership development program created by Latine leaders and the UW-Madison Division of Extension. Yes, it's not an average leadership program. It's delivered simultaneously in Spanish and English. The program helps participants build leadership skills and expand their network and be part of building a statewide network of leaders who are committed to making a positive impact in their community. Through a series of engaging and interactive sessions, participants in Elevando Wisconsin have the opportunity to explore a range of topics, including personal strengths, setting leadership goals, building network, improving communication, promoting equity and inclusion, keeping culture alive, and taking care of themselves so they can lead others. Sorry. Sorry, just a can you guys see my screen now? Is the screen still the slides? Can you guys see the slides?
Yes, but could you speak a little bit louder?
Sure. Wait. I don't know where's my slides. Sorry, just a sec. Wait, I don't. I'm sorry, just a sec. I don't know where's my screen sharing.
We can see the screen.
In my page, it shows my screen sharing is paused. I don't know which button I think I can share it again. Okay. Sorry for the waiting.
Do you want me to share, Jinka?
I think, can you see the screen now?
It's coming up. I don't see the slide as of yet, but I think you have started your screen share.
So you can see the screen, right? The slides.
Not right now.
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Not
Okay,
yet.
what happened? Can you share the screen, Anshika? Sorry.
Can you please give me the access to share my screen? Yes. 1 second. Okay, you should be all set. Okay, go ahead, Jinke.
So I'd like to show you a map about the participants in Elevando Wisconsin Spring 2023 program. So our program 2023 has attracted a diverse group of participants from across the state, with a particular strong showing from the southern Wisconsin counties, as well as representation from the northern county. Now that we've had a chance to introduce Elevando Wisconsin and highlighted some of the key features of our program, I'd like to invite Carlos to talk about his work with Elevando Wisconsin.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me? My name is, again, Leon Carlos Miranda. I go by Carlos, and I'm the Socio-Language Access Coordinator and in-house Spanish interpreter and translator for the University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension. And my job is to help facilitate multilingual communication and ensure compliance around language access services. I've worked in the private sector for many years and was constantly frustrated with clients not being interested in improving services for those that are not dominant in the English language. But at Extension, I've been fortunate in that leadership has specifically made language access a priority and created an environment in which we've received over 1,000 unique requests for expanding access and programming by our colleagues. Now, Elevando Wisconsin is one of those requests that really stands out, not only because it's ensuring that non-English dominant individuals receive information and access in the language of their preference, but they have actively involved the community in the co-construction process and developing the curriculum. Not simply saying, this is what we can offer, now choose. They're actually working with the community to develop and shape the curriculum to best meet the needs of that community. They're not simply stating, this is what we can teach you, rather, what are the skills and knowledge do we each possess, and how can we share and improve them together? And that stands out to me. It's been a pleasure to work with folks, and I want to yield my time so that y'all can hear from them directly. I'm going to mute and pass. And I'll be here to answer questions that folks might have afterwards.
Thank you, Carlos. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anshika. Okay. As Jinke had mentioned that we worked as an intern as part of the culturally we worked with Elevando Wisconsin as part of the Wisconsin Idea Internship Program last summer. As part of the program, we aim to evaluate the cultural relevance and the impact of Elevando Wisconsin as a culturally relevant leadership program. So in order to achieve this goal, we first conducted a literature review around community leadership programs. We soon realized that the literature focusing on the school context were out there, but there was very limited literature around communities specifically. We further moved on to collecting data by interviewing 9 alumni of Elevando Wisconsin and 5 co-construction team members. The data that we collected from these interviews, we then used Max QDA to qualitatively code and qualitatively analyze the data. So some of the results from the data analysis highlighted that participants had mentioned growth in their interpersonal and personal skills. As you can see from this graph, people talked about increase or improvement in networking skills, communication skills, leadership skills, amongst others. Here we have two quotes by Elevando Wisconsin alumni, and they talked about their leadership skills and communication skills and how that was improved as a result of participating in Elevando Wisconsin. The next thing that was again highlighted a lot was around their personal skills. Many of the participants specifically highlighted them valuing diversity, them being able to identify their own strengths and weaknesses, having improved family relationships, to being motivated and ambitious about their work. These were again some of the highlighted things amongst the other things that were mentioned during the interviews. This is again a quote from an alumni of Elevando, Wisconsin, around the improvement in their personal skills. Apart from personal and interpersonal skill, there was a lot of mention around the cultural relevance of the program and specifically being felt respected and welcomed in the program, as well as people mentioned how they really appreciated being able to participate in Spanish. So really appreciated the fact that the language was included in this program. And here we have another example of a quote by alumni of Elevando, Wisconsin, and them appreciating the inclusion that was created in this program. Okay, so we are now excited to move on to the panel discussion section of our presentation, and to hear and have the opportunity to hear directly from some of the Elevando, Wisconsin participants, as well as co-construction team members who are here with us. Each one of them have unique perspective and experience that they would be able to share with us. We have prepared some questions for our panelists, but towards the end, say last 10 minutes, we'll open it to the audience for a Q&A. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome Margarita, Jesus, and Maria. Welcome. So, okay. So Margarita, how about I start with you? Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Muy buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Margarita Ávila. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Margarita Ávila, and I am the Director of Workforce Development of the Latino Academy of Workforce Development here in Madison, Wisconsin. And at the Latino Academy of Workforce Development, we provide bilingual adult education, job training, and employment programs in Dane County and surrounding areas. Also, we provide employment support to Latinos and non-Latinos in our community. So very happy to be here. Also, in November 2021, I was privileged to be part of the first Elevando Wisconsin cohort. Thank you.
Thank you, Margarita. Jesus, I would now invite you to introduce yourself, please.
Yes, thank you. I'm Jesus Vargas. I'm from Mexico, but now I'm living here in US. I've been participating in the Elevando Wisconsin last year, and it's been an excellent program and amazing to be there.
Thank you and welcome. We are so excited that you're here with us. Maria, I would request you to please introduce yourself. Can you hear me, Maria?
Are you saying Maria or Mario?
Oh, Maria, I am sorry. I am so sorry for saying your name incorrectly.
Sorry, I heard the O and that's masculine in Spanish, so.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Maria,
okay.
can you
All
please
right.
introduce yourself?
Yes, bienvenidos a todos. Welcome, everyone. My name is Maria Flores. I am a second generation Mexican-American, though I self-identify as Chicana. I am a 32-year veteran of the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, known as the EEOC, which is a federal civil rights agency that enforces the laws that prohibit employment discrimination. For the past 22 years, I've been the regional outreach and training manager for the EEOC Chicago district, where I conduct no-cost educational presentations as well as fee-based training throughout our 6-state region. And I graduated from Elevando, Wisconsin in 2022.
Thank you. So my next question for the panelist is, how has attending Elevando, Wisconsin benefited you personally and professionally? Any one of you can start by answering.
I can start. I would like to share my experience in the program. Although it was the first cohort and the pilot, it was a wonderful experience. Definitely, I appreciate the opportunity to be in a space where I was able to use, both of my languages, English and Spanish, and had the opportunity to also meet other leaders in the community, not just where I live, but the entire state of Wisconsin. I appreciate all the resources that I was able to learn, and to many of the resources that I was not even aware. And those resources are with, either other organizations in other places, nonprofits, or businesses in our community, but also resources that the university provides to our community. So for me to expand my knowledge in my network, it was definitely something that I value, that I continue to use as a resource, even now, for my personal needs and even for my workplace.
Maria, do you want to continue?
Maria Flores, you're asking?
Yes, please.
Yes, well, I'm going to have to echo what I just heard about the participation in Elevando, Wisconsin has really broadened my professional network, especially throughout Wisconsin. And as someone who works with the federal government, where people are hesitant to go to for help, connecting with other Elevando graduates is really critical in amplifying the voice of my agency. Connecting with these fellow graduates from government agencies, NGOs, advocacy groups. And this is really important to help me establish a trust factor with diverse communities, especially vulnerable workers, those who may be limited English proficient, those who may be in geographically underserved areas. And by establishing that trust factor through my fellow graduates, that means that workers are more likely to come to our agency with a complaint. And if they come to our agency with a complaint, my agency is better poised to eradicate discrimination based on in the employment world and to provide a remedy. And I'll be really honest, I have a 6-state territory and I'm already spread very thin throughout those 6 states. And so having these connections is a time saver and a cost saver. And again, having these newer connections really helps me do a better job and to serve the public, which in the end is really my boss. And personally speaking, as a bilingual, bicultural Chicana, again, only 2nd generation, being in Elevando, Wisconsin, being able to speak in English and Spanish, to have that instant understanding about cultura, about one's culture, it really helps to make you feel not alone. And given that Latinos are underrepresented in federal government as it is, it doesn't make me feel like a lonely cork, bouncing in a big giant ocean, to know that there are other people out there. So the affirmation and the validation from my fellow Elevando participants, that's really renewed my stamina and my passion for civil rights work. Thank you.
Well, for me, attending Elevando, Wisconsin has made me more aware of the barriers and needs that the Latino community faces in the United States. And one of my experience during the program, the program sessions, we complete the Clifton Strengths Assessment, which relevated that my top 3 strengths are coordinating, ideation, and connection. Learning that about these strengths made me realize that I can use them to help the community by seeking resources to improve their quality of life, such helping them to find accessible medical services, free online education, and connecting those who want to start a business with organizations like the Latino Chamber of Commerce or the WAVIC program, especially the new immigrants in the US. That's my experience in being part of the Elevando Wisconsin.
Thank you. It was really great listening to each one of yours experience of being associated with Elevando Wisconsin. My next question is, how do you think communities in Wisconsin can benefit from programs like Elevando Wisconsin that are based on culturally relevant programming? Again, the stage is open for anybody who would like to start.
Well, from my perspective, communities can be benefit greatly from Elevando Wisconsin because more people like me who discover their strengths can help improve the communities and enhance the quality of life of its residents.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jesus. I think, a key factor that I was able to see through Elevando and also through my current job at the Latino Academy of Workforce Development is that when you really center the program based on the needs of the community, that's definitely, something very unique, and it's a factor that is something that is going to help accomplish the outcomes and the desires of the outcomes as well. We all know we're not the same. We don't have the same needs. So when you're working with this population, and as an example with Elevando, the majority of us are immigrants. Some of us probably not fully fluent in English. We're still learning the language, and we're still trying to navigate the systems here in the U.S. It was definitely a great advantage and benefit to have a program like Elevando Wisconsin, that it was designed for our community, for our Latino community. And, even through my job, there is something that we try to work around the needs of our community. And, a good example is providing the training at a time where where our community could be able to attend, or if they have kids, can we provide childcare? And, we have shared through this presentation, the Elevando Wisconsin was a program that was provided in English and Spanish. So we will have the benefit to either speak in English or Spanish throughout the program. So that's definitely a key component to the program, and I definitely appreciate that.
This is Maria Flores again, and talking again about communities and benefiting from cultural relevant programming. Again, for me, levantando la voz, raising one's voice, amplifying the voice, and by harnessing all of the strength, the institutional knowledge, and the professional connections from amongst the participants, again, from diverse backgrounds, diverse agencies and organizations, we help each other in terms that we have learned from each other and have obtained information that we may not have found on our own or known to look for had it not been for our fellow participants. And the more educated that we are, the better service that we can provide to those communities that we serve.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights. My last question for the panelists today is, as a leader in your community, how can programs like Elevando Wisconsin better serve underrepresented communities and address their needs and challenges?
This is Margarita. I believe that programs like Elevando Wisconsin are helping unrepresented communities to navigate systems in Wisconsin and the U.S. as well. but also, empower individuals with resources and tools that they can use to navigate on their own. Something that I have seen through my job and also as an immigrant is that, I want to make sure that in my job, I want to make sure that we provide the tools so that our participants can do their job on their own, that they can go and apply for jobs on their own. So just providing those resources, we want to make sure that they have what they need to be able to try with, even if they have their own business, if they want to apply for jobs. I think that is a key of the program of Elevando and a key component as well, other programs that could be relevant to our community, to our unrepresented communities. We don't want to do their job. We want to make sure that we provide their resources and tools once again.
This is Maria Flores again, talking about better serving the underrepresented communities and addressing their needs and challenges. I think Leon Carlos hit it right on the nail, and it really resonated with me when he talked about entities going to communities and telling them what they need to know about. And I think by having this cultural competency type programming and understanding, we better serve the communities and realizing that we need to listen and to actively engage. And I'll be the first one to state, as someone who works for the federal government, we like to do things the hardest way and in a way that is not culturally responsive, in a way to engage the community and our stakeholders. So often in the federal government, we'll just go to the community with a certain posture, which I refer to as savior syndrome. I do allyship type training. We're there to save the people, and we assume what the community wants to hear from us, as opposed once again to practicing cultural competency and active listening. We're going to engage these diverse communities. And by having the diversity of the culture, the language, and again, amongst the participants, I find this to be a never-ending educational journey with enormous payoffs on how to best serve the communities, again, in a culturally competent manner. And it goes beyond that. By us reaching out to diverse communities, as we just heard, you want to self-empower the members of the community, that they know that they are important in this process of raising their voices, of accessing services and programming, to kind of create, that ripple effect of having more leaders outside of Elevando, Wisconsin. So that old paradigm about the story about you don't feed someone and just give them fish, you teach them how to fish. And so that's one of the benefits I have found with the program. Thank you.
Hi, I agree with Maria and Margarita. And I think the better way to help the communities is like active listening and know them, because if we doesn't know them, we can hardly help them to reach their goals and to give access to education or healthy, or even getting a job or a business here in US.
Thank you so much, Jesus, Margarita, and Maria, sharing your insights and your experiences. I would like to open the floor for any questions that you might have from our panelists, from Carlos, from Victoria, and we also have Dionisse with us today. So the space is open for any questions that you might have from anyone here.
If you're loud enough, they might be able to hear you. But if not, we have a mic that we can pass around.
Should I just yell it, or should I?
Do you want to? We'll try a little. Yeah. Awesome.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. I just had a question about kind of the curriculum or foundation for this program. Do you use any specific like leadership models or anything like that?
Thank you so much.
So this is Victoria. If oh. Okay, if helpful, what we did with this was very much start with a co-construction team and had conversations about what are the biggest skills that you think are important to dive into and dig deeper about. And that's how it was developed with this particular curriculum. One of the things that I think is most important is the aspects about keeping cultures alive. That comes up a lot. We also have layers of network building as well as the personal and professional leadership development. So the framework is a bit different. I think in this particular component where we are right now, it's been a lot about the process of developing the relationships and having the conversations, right? If you know, you can see us right now, we are a very multicultural group of people having these conversations at different parts of career and having very different life experiences as well. And so there are lots of strengths to that in coming together and building something that is not necessarily common per se, I'd say, in the UW or higher education system. And there's lots of opportunity for that. Does that answer your question?
Totally, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hello, thank you for your presentation. What type of support did you have from your department's leadership to get this program off the ground? And then what type of timeline were you working with for the development of this program?
So, great question. This is Victoria again. From a timeline perspective, I would say things took longer than usual because we had a lot of conversations and the relationship building. I would also say that in extension in Wisconsin, we are very fortunate. We are, I think, and Carlos knows better than I do about this, but I believe we are kind of unfortunately on the front edge of this because we have the Awake team. So we have Carlos's team to make multilingual conversations easier. And then we could bring together leaders from communities across Wisconsin to have those conversations, to make sure that the conversations were respectful and culturally relevant across the diversity of communities across, right? So it's not just dialects of Spanish, right? There are so many different languages, and we've had conversations about that. That's just one small example. And so it took a while. I think it took a year before we had the first sort of pilot program, and we continue to have a co-construction team and continue to mold and shape and evolve the programming. And we're very excited to expand that. Does anybody have any additional things that they'd want to add about what I just shared? Okay, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
How do new individuals or new team members end up finding their way to Elevando?
The question was, how do individuals find their way to Elevando?
So we have, so Extension has networks. So we have offices in each of the counties. And Dionisse did a great interview on the Spanish language radio based out of Beloit. All the Yes, as Jessica just said, we have been working on that and getting the word out through all the networks. Alumni have been getting the word out, community leaders have been getting the word out. And so it's very much through word of mouth, Facebook, emails, different networks like that. So I recognize it's a different process than UW uses, right? The way that extension approaches things is different than the way campus gets word out, because we're in so many different communities. So we work across languages, across networks. We define leadership differently, right? Movers and shakers in Greene County, for example, are moving and shaking in different ways, in different places than might be recognized in other areas. So Margarita, if I can maybe call you out, because I saw you nodding your head. So is there anything you'd want to share?
Yeah, I think, you're totally right, Victoria. I think another avenue that we had taken to share about Elevando Wisconsin and the program is through also the alumni that had already taken the program, asking them to share and through a word of mouth. I know that since I took the first program back in 2021, I've been inviting others to be part of the program as well. So I saw a lot of word of mouth. Our Latino community, I know it is big, but the word can get across pretty fast. So sharing on social media, I had done that as well. And I know Victoria and your team had done an amazing job just sharing on social media as well.